So hello there, friends. So today what we're going to be talking about are the 5 shocking mistakes that do-it-yourselfers and beginners that they make when they're installing auto upholstery. So here we go. So starting with number 5 and working our way down to number 1. First, I'm going to say headliners and headliner bows. Okay, specifically the old style cars that have headliner bows, right? They're not the fuzzy one piece looking headliners that you see in all the new cars. What I'm talking about is old school upholstery, right? So we're talking, 1960s cars, 1970s cars, 50s, 40s, 30s, all the way back, right? So anyway, if you ever had the experience of doing one of these old cars, okay, they have these headliners where a metal rod goes right through the listing in the headliner and you can actually see the seams on the headliner. Okay, this is the mistake. Okay, and don't make this one, but let me know in comments if you did. Okay, so what it is a lot of guys, what they'll do when they do one of these headliners, they'll just rip it right out of the car and they'll take the bows out, and then then they don't know where the bows went into the headliner because each bow is going to be a different length. Okay, so if you get out of sequence with these bows, something's not going to fit right, and then you're going to end up spending a whole bunch of time trying to figure it out. Okay, so let me know if you've ever made that mistake. I know I have. That's why I'm making this video, so that way you don't have to. So anyway, what I do, and my trick here is technique number 895. Okay, what you do is when you're removing the headliner from the car, okay, I start at the windshield and I work my way back. Okay, the first bow behind the windshield, I'll just take some masking tape and I'll write number 1. And I'll put a number 1 tag on that bow. Okay, and I'll do the same for the number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5, and even number 6. So now all my bows are all labeled from 1 to 5 or 1 to 6, going from the windshield back. Okay, now you know exactly when you pull the wire or the rod out of the old headliner and you go to put it in the new headliner, they're all numbered. So there's no guessing. How do you like that one? Now would be a great time to hit that like button. So like. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Now for number 4 on the list. Okay, that would be adhesives. Okay, so let me know how you feel about this one. I have several videos about the adhesives that I use, and I'll just tell you right up front, okay? I use contact adhesive for everything I do. Okay, I never use anything out of a spray can. Okay, so what I use in particular, the brand name that I happen to be using is Weldwood. Okay, that's worked out for me for like 45 years, and it's never failed on me, not even once. Okay, so I've used different name brands, and I think that name brand isn't important. I just think as long as it's contact adhesive, that's what you really want to be using. Okay, I've never used anything that worked well that came out of a spray can. Okay, so there's the famous name brand. I call it 3 Men name brand. Spray adhesive. Okay, some guys they say, "Oh, that's great," but I'll tell you what. Every time I've used it, and also in the early days, because I learned quick, right? Because you always learn from your mistakes. So anyway, I've never had luck with those spray cans. So I've been told that Weldwood now makes a contact adhesive in a spray can. People are asking me what I think of it. Okay, well, I'll tell you the truth. I've never used it. I didn't even know it existed because I've never needed to use it. I just put my contact adhesive in my spray gun all the time. And the spray gun, people ask me in comments all the time, do I have to thin it out? No. Do I ever clean my gun? No. How often do I clean it? Never. Okay, so really, that's the truth of it all. I really don't. You know, every once in a great while, I might clean off the tip with some mineral spirits. And that's, you know, what I always use. And those of you that follow me around know you've heard this before. I'm sorry, but, you know, there's new people watching these videos all the time. So that's why I do a lot of this repetition. And just hang in there with me, okay? So anyway, these adhesives, um, contact adhesive is what I use, nothing from a spray can, because they're unreliable and they always fail. Those of you that have used these spray can adhesives, if you're well experienced in upholstery, you probably have these stories of your own. You know, let me know in comments what you think about that one. Now for number 3 on the list. Okay, so number 3 is sewing with the wrong sewing machine. Okay, how many of you have ever done that? Okay, raise your hand. Huh? So anyway, what I tell people in comments all the time, because they're always asking me about a sewing machine because they need advice, because they might be interested in making a major purchase, you know, for a brand new sewing machine. You know, it could be a couple $1,000s or more. Okay, so they're, you know, they ask my opinion on certain machines. And really, the truth of it is, I have only, in 45 years, I've only used 2 sewing machines personally. I had my Chandler Adler, which I love that one to death. Yeah, I sure did. I wore it out after about 40 years of using it, so I had to replace it. And that thing, it was German made, and it ran like a watch. You know, it was so smooth and quiet, and I really loved that thing. It was like the Mercedes, right, of sewing machines. Okay, so I had to replace it. So I walked into a sewing machine dealer one day, and I picked up really pretty much the best thing that they had at the time. So, which is my Juki 2810 that you guys always see in the videos. But really, the advice that I have to give about sewing machines, and I do it a lot in comments, is really any new or used sewing machine that has reverse, has a walking foot, and has a welt foot. Okay, with those 3 things, you can pretty much sew up just about anything that comes your way. And that's really the advice that I have to give. It doesn't have to be a new machine. You know, so a lot of upholstery suppliers, a lot of times they'll have a sewing machine that somebody needs to sell, and they'll display it there in their showroom with a price tag on it. So if you're looking for a used sewing machine, that's a good place to try, is your local upholstery supplier. Either that or maybe Craigslist, or what's the other one, Marketplace. You know, that you might be able to find something there. So here is the latest of my upholstery shop. You can see I'm still doing some drywall here. I just got a few more pieces of drywall I got to do, and kind of giving a homey feel here, you know, for my customers. You know, that way they feel comfortable and welcomed. Got some of my samples right here, my vinyl samples and carpet samples and so on and so forth. And then my sewing machine over here. So, oops, you can got a view of that right there. I'm not done with the wall. I'm still trying to cover that up too. So, you know, between doing upholstery, working on this building, and making videos for everybody, you know, this is how I'm getting it done. Oh, who's that? That's Mr. Poodles. Now moving on to number 2. Okay, so number 2, and this is what I had to learn the hard way. Okay, when I was 15 years old, you know, this is 45 years ago, when I very first started doing upholstery, I had my first car. It was a Mustang, and I wanted to do my own interior. So this is what I did. You know, well, at the time I was working for an uncle who had an upholstery shop, and I was helping him out, and he was kind of showing me a few things here or there. But you know what? He didn't show me. I'm going to tell you here in a second. I did my upholstery in this car, and it came out really nice. You know, it's really my first job that I did. Came out really nice, and I was really proud of it and all. But as the months went by, something unusual started happening. Guess what happened? He never taught me how to lock a stitch. So all my panels for my seats, they were starting to pull apart, because there was nothing holding them together. Just a regular stitch, right? But they weren't locked on the ends. So something so simple as that, he didn't even mention it to me. Really, since that very time, I learned everything that I know, okay, on my own. Okay, never spent one day in a classroom. And when you're first starting out, people, they say, well, maybe I need to wait until I do this, or maybe I need to wait until I go to school for sewing and for upholstery, and maybe I need to do this. And don't do that. Don't put anything off like that. I always say that learning is doing, and that you are your own best teacher. And that's what I say this because this is what I did when I was first starting out. And making your mistakes. Because you make your mistakes means that you're learning something. Because you know what, you're never going to make that mistake again, right? So you just learn something, and you know what, it just gets better and better and better. Wait for it. Wait for it. Now for number one. Okay, so number one is, you are going to tell me what number one is. Okay, so you got to tell me in comments what you did and what was your learning experience. Okay, what was some of the mistake that you made that you learned from? Put it in comments, because you know what? A lot of people read these comments and they can benefit from even the advice that you give. It's not just me, it's also you too. Remember that failure isn't a reflection of ability, it's a stepping stone to mastery. So until next time, we'll see ya.